A panel of women are gathering in Rome today to discuss sexual abuse in the Catholic Church ahead of a major summit later this week. On Thursday, more than 100 senior bishops will be meeting the Pope to address clerical sexual abuse. Deborah Lubov is our correspondent for Zenit, and she's in Rome where that panel of women is meeting. Let's go straight to her. Good morning to you, Deborah. Just start by telling us why this summit is so important.
Yes, Belle, it's incredibly important. It's the first time that there's ever been a global summit to address clergy sexual abuse within the Catholic Church. And it's necessary because despite the fact that the Catholic Church has taken various measures, especially since 2002, but starting as early as with Pope John Paul II, followed by Benedict, and now with Pope Francis. However, we're seeing it's not enough. Bishops need to be held accountable, and that'll be one of the main issues that needs to be addressed in these days here in the Vatican by the 190 who will be present, including those 115 or so bishops, plus other Vatican officials. There will be about 10 male religious here, as well as about 10 religious sisters. That's one of the issues that they need to be focusing on. But victims have been speaking very vocally, and what they're saying is that, yes, it's true that if there's abuse, that person needs to be penalized and they need to no longer be a priest. And the church has this policy in place for zero tolerance toward priests and deacons. And in countries that have been following those guidelines, we've seen the numbers plummeted, including in the United States, especially in the Anglophone countries. But other parts of the world have not caught on. They see it as something that's discretionary or something that they don't need to follow 100%. And that's what gap needs to be bridged here. So that's very important.
Do you think this summit can bridge that gap? Do you think it can result in any concrete changes?
I personally believe it can, but I do think we'll need to be patient because, for instance, this past weekend in Pope Francis's most dramatic action when it comes to tackling clergy sex abuse, we had seen that there was Theodore McCarrick, who was a very influential cardinal throughout the church in the United States for a long time. And despite rumors, despite people who seemed to know something was going on, but not necessarily pedophilia, this man continued to rise up in the ranks of the church. And this is a major problem because there's no way that with that, if people have any idea, this is just something that needs to stop. So Pope Francis over the weekend reduced him to the clerical state, meaning he can no longer be an acting priest within the Catholic Church. This was decreed by the Vatican's Department of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, who found him guilty of soliciting in the confessional and abusing minors and seminarians. And the Pope rendered this decision definite. There's no recourse. He's now just Theodore McCarrick, and this needs to be a precedent for anyone else, any other predator priest out there. And not only that, it's important that bishops are held accountable not only for abuse, but that they're held accountable for cover-up or just negligence. Pope Francis in 2016 issued a law, and we call them the motu proprio here in the Vatican, but in this Like a Loving Mother, as this document's called, it said negligence of bishops must be condemned and addressed, but this hasn't always been the case following that document. So we need to see that these loopholes are closed and that this dramatic action is taken, that you'll be held accountable.
All right, thank you very much, Deborah Lubov there in Rome.